The biggest battle we will ever have to face is the battle between you and you. It's the battle of taking your mind to that limit and then breaking through. On the Mindful Experiment podcast, we will share concepts, universal laws, and interviewing individuals who have done just that, who have gone through the dark times and through those moments allowed their light to shine bright. I'm your host, Dr. Vic Manzo, and I want to thank you for listening to the podcast and taking this journey with me as we discover different avenues to break through those limits, expand your reality, and evolve into the person you desire to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Mindful Experiment. You are listening to Dr. Vic as I wanted to start a new process where you get to have me on Tuesdays as I do my new releases for my podcast every Tuesday. And then we're going to be doing our interviews as we've been launching every Friday. And I hope you've been enjoying them. I hope you've been enjoying the guests that we've had on and the questions and the material and the life nuggets that have been expressed. We have a long list of people that we are recording as we speak, and we're almost fully booked up until almost February now. And it's been awesome, the people that have been coming and the interviews and the questions and the lessons and just so much. So I'm excited to have you be a part of this. And if please share. If you like the podcast, you like what you've been listening to, you like the interviews, share it on iTunes, share it on Podbean, Castbox, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and those. And that's how we get this podcast out there and how we can get this information out there to the masses so that they have an opportunity to truly live to their fullest potential and really get into the whole mindful experiment process. In today's episode, I thought it was good to talk about vision. New Year's resolutions is coming around the corner. A lot of creation process happening now. It's the hustle and bustle, kind of getting distracted from the holidays and just trying to survive, getting last minute things, spending time with family and all those things. And this is a good moment to just take a deep breath, relax, and just think about what it is that you want to envision in 2019. For some of you, you've already done it. For some others, you may have not. For me, the last couple years now, I actually started doing my New Year's resolutions, or I don't really do those per se. It's more of just my goal setting for the next year, the vision of what I want to create. So, and I'll break this all down in just a bit of how I do it. But I do it on December 1st. So that way I have all December to start, and by January, I'm already rolling. I don't have to try to get into a pattern. I don't have to try to get into habits. I already created them. And I'm already doing that. And by the time end of February comes, it's part of my lifestyle. And I've done this for the last couple of years, and it works wonders for me. This year alone, I hit every single benchmark I wanted to achieve in 2018. And now I'm going to push the envelope way higher and really challenge myself, make myself stretch, and so much more. And I'm sharing this with you because I want to not impress you, but express to you the power behind setting the vision and how to do so. Before I get into that process, I want to give you a little bit of some substance, a little bit of some science to back up. I had Mark Gruber on my podcast, and he really brought the science. I geeked out with him like crazy. Check out that interview. It was really great about it. At the end to the upside down thinking, he really brings quantum physics to the table, and we had some massive discussions as he brought the science. I was sharing the spirituality concepts to it, and a beautiful merge that we had on that episode. In that episode, though, he talked about the observer effect, and he goes way more in detail. He explains it way more elegantly than I would. But the observer effect talks about the power of our mind and how we're a creator. Okay, the observer effect in quantum physics really broke down the aspect of understanding that what you observe, what you see, it will manifest into reality. In the spiritual realms, they all say it starts with non-physical. Everything happens from the non-physical to the physical, right? Everything happens from thought to manifest into reality. Thought is just as concrete as something you hold in your hand. Now, we've heard these terms, and I've heard it for the last 10 to 12 years. Quantum physics, though, and I've heard the observer effect early in my career in the spirituality and so forth. But what was kind of cool is that it really merges it and really explains it elegantly. You see, when they did the observer effect, there was two things that they looked at. When you looked, there's something called the wave pattern, okay? And then there's something called the particle aspect. A wave you cannot see. A wave is something that is non-physical, right? It's absolute infinite potential. It's just there, and it's just absolutely sitting there at all times until someone observes. When someone looks and expects to see something in a certain way, that wave will now all of a sudden manifest itself and change form into a particle. Particle is your physical reality. Particles is what your body is made up, and every piece of matter that exists. And so once you observe and see what it is that you are looking for, the particle will manifest itself and become materialized. But then, once you take your attention off of it, you take your focus away from it, that particle will go back in the wave form. It goes back to infinite potential. And so they studied this over and over and over again, and they found out that it's what you look at is what's going to materialize. And this is why I am so massively big on vision. I don't focus on goals as much. I call them benchmarks instead. But vision is what I focus on. I envision things in my life that don't exist right now. I envision things that don't exist in this world right now. And I keep visualizing them within my mind, because once I can get crystal clear and I can tap into that energy, then my eyes know what to look for, and then it will eventually materialize into my reality. It will become part of my physical. It will become part of my experience of life. And that happens in any fabric. And I've tested this on many different levels in my own life. Guys, I always like to emphasize, I wasn't taught these things. I didn't have a family that taught me how the universe works. I learned how the hard knocks of life is, but I wasn't taught these principles and how to live smarter, work smarter, not harder. How to utilize these universal principles and how to really maximize your life to the fullest. I had to learn and fail and learn and fail and learn and fail with frustration and anger and all the stuff that comes to that. This wasn't something I mastered over time, and I still don't think I mastered it. I'm a work in progress that's always trying to get better. Always just trying to improve little at a time. And I always tell people I don't know everything, and I never say I do. But it's one of those things that I just work diligently at to make sure that I can become the best version of me. Because when I do that, everybody around me thrives. Everybody around me wins. So when you look at your vision, take a moment and take some time. Get a pen and paper out and write out what it is you want to see for yourself in 2019. And see it clearly in your mind. Get like a kid, and don't let any of your past thinking hold you back. Break the chains and ball and chain that you have on you that you may be holding from your past. The mind will always base everything, the future, based on your past experiences. So you have to get away from the mind, and you have to focus more on your heart. What would make your heart flutter, give you butterflies, to see happen for yourself in 2019? What are things that you want to choose to create? All right? Get that in your mind and start visualizing and see it, feel it, put your emotions into it. Really get into the moment. I want you to think of 2019, of you creating the movie of 2019, of you. And in this, you got to have actors and actresses. There's going to be music in, right? The forecasting, the music that comes in and out to amplify the emotions. And then you're the main star. And you're the producer. and you're the writer and everything else that comes with it. What is it that you want to see go through that process? How do you want to see it at the end? And focus on the end of the movie first, end of 2019, and then work your way back. And I can tell you that when you do that and you ingrain yourself and you get present with it, it will massively transform your life. You will, as long as you're being consistent and you don't let the distractions get in the way and you focus on it strongly, these things will change. It will start to transform. It is part of the observer effect. You are visualizing within your mind what it is that you want to create. And as you continue to do that and you continue to feel it and you start to actualize it, the more times you tap into that, the more times you use the law of consistency into this process and repetition, you slowly start to build one brick at a time it into your physical reality. That is just the way it is. Now, there are some things you have to be aware of. There's something called divine timing, right? Sometimes that plays a role. Sometimes we don't get there because we didn't put enough effort. Or sometimes in life, we just let the distractions of life get to us and pull us away. And when you start to have those feelings, that's when you have to work extra effort, more effort into focusing and creating that experience of making sure that you say, no, this is what it's going to be. This is my vision. This is what I want to do. This is who I want to be at the end of 2019, 20, 21, 25, 30. I mean, you can go on and on. And you got to be convicted within yourself and convinced that it's going to happen. And have the faith to know that the universe is always providing for you endlessly. Always giving you everything that you desire. The universe doesn't judge. It doesn't say good or bad. The universe just is. And the brain works the same way. The brain does not judge. It's just whatever you program it is what it's going to do. And so you have that power. So when it comes to your vision in 2019, really take some time of what it is you want to do. And then commit to yourself for the first 90 days and don't miss on what you committed. And then continue to do the work from there. Because after the 90-day hump, it really starts to become part of your lifestyle. It really starts to manifest into your world and allow you to truly thrive. My vision is for all the listeners who listen to the Mindful Experiment is to truly find their light and really let it shine bright in 19. As I had one of my dear friends, Tanya Gonzalez, on the podcast, she talked, so we talked a little briefly about what 2019 is going to be and how big of a healing moment it's going to be for a lot of people and how it's going to help individuals really transform and thrive. And I truly believe, as I'm writing my new book, as we getting ready to write my new book in February, it's one of those things where I'm going to be talking a lot in that book about the darkness we have within, and how beautiful it is once we embrace it, and how it brings so much light into our lives when we do. So lots to come in 2019. I am excited for you guys to be listening to this. Take this information and really take some time to really create. Get really connected. Take 5 minutes, take 10, go to a coffee shop and just take a moment for yourself. You know, if you're a mother listening to this, hire a babysitter for an hour and really just take time to do this. It's just that important. If you don't set it, it never happens. If you fail to plan, you've planned to fail. Set it in motion. You know, there's so many studies out there about goal setting, when you write it down versus not writing it down, when you read it consistently, when you don't, and all these other things. And I wanted to make sure this podcast was short, not too long, so I'm not going to dive into all those right now. But the key thing is, take time for you. I want to thank you guys as we wrap up this episode on the Mindful Experiment. I wanted to share a little update. We have so much happening in the new year. Empower Your Reality is really starting to launch its online university classes that we have. It's a conscious school is what we're trying to create from it. And we're doing this a little at a time. And we know in the 2019 we plan on seeing a full array of courses and then starting inviting people to come and create courses with us to share with our tribe that we are creating. And we have a huge vision of what we want to create in 2019. Right now I'm doing, I just finished a 5-week program, and it's more on an entrepreneurial aspect, but you don't have to be an entrepreneur. If you're really an ambitious individual who wants to understand how the power of vision works, you want to understand how to stay centered, how to be in flow, and how to really work smarter, not harder. We're going to have another program we're launching in January. And so that new program is going to be launching. It's the 5-week again, and we're going to be launching that about every 7-8 weeks as we do that. And so if this is something that you're interested in, definitely check out our website, empoweryourreality.com. And just click on classes, and you'll see all the classes that we have going on right now as we continue to add new ones. We do have a 1-week free just to help center yourself. It's every day you get a video from me, and it just talks about just centering yourself and how to really reconnect with yourself and get away from the chaos. I highly recommend it, especially during the holiday season right now. So check that out. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for being part of the community here, the tribe at the Mindful Experiment and Empower Your Reality. I hope you all are having an amazing day, and I look forward to chatting again next week.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. For past shows, please visit www.empoweryourreality.com. I hope this show inspired you and added to your life to help you on the journey to rediscover who you really are. To connect with us on Facebook, please visit www.facebook.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. Check us out on Twitter. The handle is Dr. Vic21. Follow us on Instagram, www.instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. If you were inspired by the podcast, pay it forward by sharing it with someone who you know can benefit from it. Thank you again for listening to the Mindful Experiment podcast, sharing paths to help you rediscover your infinite potential.